Welcome everyone, and thanks for entering the lobby of Hobbies. My name is Jazz, and whether you consider yourself a seasoned vet or new to the world of tabletop gaming, I'm sure you're going to find something here that's right for you. What we've gone ahead and done is start this new series titled Lobby Talks, where we're going to be discussing various relevant topics to tabletop gaming. On this episode, we're going to be discussing something that I see on various social media groups and amongst different friends that I talk to within the hobby, and that's getting new gamers into the hobby. So without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so somewhere along the line, we've been introduced to that one gateway game that has completely transformed our way of thinking when it comes to board games. Maybe it was a classic like Catan or Ticket to Ride, or maybe even Carcassonne. Or you were probably at your friend's house and they said, I've got this cool smash and bash monster game, and they pulled out King of Tokyo, and the fun that you had that night has made you want more. Now, if you're like me, when you had that moment, you started going online and you came across things like Board Game Geek and the Dice Tower, and you were just watching video after video of what else was out there when it comes to this board gaming hobby. And slowly but surely, your shelf of board games transformed from things like Clue and Monopoly to what you see behind me. And maybe your collection is bigger or even smaller than this. But one question I'm sure that we all have is, how do we get new gamers, whether it be friends, family, or even spouses that we think are not so into the gaming hobby, to the table and joining with us? So what I've done is I've come up with a list of 3 different things that I know have helped me and hopefully will help you to get those people to the table. So let's look at those. Now, quick disclaimer, this is definitely not a surefire list of things that are guaranteed to get people to your table, but I do think this is the right place to start. So for my number 1, I'd have to say it's knowing people's interests. Know what people are into and what they're not into. Are they big sports or movie buffs? Do they like trivia? Or are they into things like dance? Knowing what people are into allows you to understand their personality and will definitely gear you in the right direction when it comes to recommending something off your shelf. So again, know what people are into. I think that's one thing that people forget. When it comes to trying to get someone new to the table, we always want to play what we want to play in hopes that they will like it as well. Remember, sometimes we have to take a back seat so that they can enjoy the experience as well. Now for my number 2, this is something that I highly underestimated, and that is theme matters to new gamers. Now, in the gaming world, we understand that there are games that have very highly immersive themes and some games that have themes that are pretty much what we call pasted on, meaning we could make the theme whatever we want and it really wouldn't change how the game is played. But for new gamers, theme is important because giving them a backstory about what they're playing, whether they feel like they're actually doing it or not, is something that's going to cater to number 1, which was their interests. If you can understand that the interests and the theme sometimes go hand in hand, that's going to be very crucial and very important to you getting a new gamer potentially to the table for the next time you play a game. So for number 3, it brings me to artwork. Artwork is something that I think new gamers will grow and learn to appreciate when they see it on your table. It's going to be that one thing that gravitates them to the table and it has them asking the question, what is it that you're playing? Now, I think it's important that when you're introducing someone to the hobby, that you can bring them to see a game that does not only have good mechanics and good gameplay, but something that's visually appealing. It's something that will definitely leave a lasting impression on them and get them wanting to know more about what this hobby's all about. So that's my list of 3 things that you should consider when it comes to trying to get a new gamer to your table. But that doesn't mean that there are some mistakes that we make along the way. Now I'm going to share with you 3 mistakes that I've made not once, but many times when it comes to trying to get new gamers to the table. Number one has to be picking out a game that has too lengthy of a rules explanation. When I'm picking a game, I want to make sure that it's something that I can not only get to playing right away, but it's going to be something that's going to be very easy for them to comprehend. Many times I found myself trying to teach a game, and 5 minutes into the explanation, I've lost the interest of the person who was originally excited to learn this game that I was so excited to teach them. So I've had to learn to be better to make sure that I'm teaching games that have quicker rules explanations, but something that they can also learn maybe within their first 1 or 2 turns along the way as they play. Now, the second mistake that I find myself making probably the most is trying to introduce a new game to new gamers every time I sit them down at the table. Now, I've got to get better at understanding that new gamers have been completely just introduced to this hobby for the first time. So it's very overwhelming to understand that there's hundreds and hundreds of games that they could potentially play anytime they're sitting down at the table. But they're starting to appreciate or even like specific games. And I've got to understand that while I want to try and get everything in my collection played, and I finally found someone to sit down at the table with me, I got to understand that they too need time to appreciate the games and be able to find what it is that they really enjoy, so that in hopes they themselves could be able to create their own collection and build upon it themselves one day. The last mistake I found myself making was actually having games in my collection with no set dedicated game group to play them with. So what I had to actually do was go online into local Facebook groups and local social media groups, as well as my local game shop, to find other players who were interested in some of these same types of games so that I actually had an opportunity to play them. Now, this list is just some of the things that I've done to try and help get new gamers to my table, and maybe you've discovered something that you'd want to give a try too. But maybe you have some ideas that you'd like to share with me. If so, why don't you drop it down in the comments below, and I'd love to learn from you guys as well. So without further ado, if you're enjoying the content that you're seeing here, why don't you hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up icon along with that bell notification so that you can be notified anytime we drop a new episode. So I'll talk to you guys later and have a good one.